At the very edge of our planet lies a world that seems never meant for life, a place where the smallest mistake means certain death. And yet, here, emperor penguins live with unmatched courage and resilience. Every year, they march across the endless ice, leaving the sea behind, to continue the cycle of life. And every year, in the middle of violent blizzards, a new generation is born, guarded by two parents who sacrifice everything for their chicks' survival. In Antarctica, their breeding season begins just as winter tightens its grip. For most animals, that would be madness. But for penguins, it's a brilliant survival strategy, passed down for millions of years. If you want to keep discovering these hidden strategies of survival, make sure to subscribe and stay with us. By laying their eggs at the height of winter, their chicks will be strong enough to survive by summer. When the ice melts and the sea overflows with food, this sacrifice in the coldest months ensures the future of their kind. That's why emperor penguins walk hundreds of kilometers back to the same frozen ground each winter. Scientists believe they navigate using a mix of visual memory, the Earth's magnetic field, and even the stars above the ice. A navigation so precise, it guides them to the same place year after year, across the endless white desert. As the sun fades and the temperatures fall, the penguins leave the ocean, their main source of food, and begin their long march inland. The journey can stretch up to 100 kilometers from the sea, done on foot or sliding across the ice on their bellies. A technique known as tobogganing. Blizzards, brutal cold, and winds that scream past 150 kilometers an hour are their daily companions on the road to life. Subscribe now so you don't miss what lies deeper in the heart of Antarctica. Thousands of penguins march forward, driven by an ancient instinct that guides them to the very same breeding ground every single year. A vast stretch of ice, solid and far away from the crashing waves and drifting flows. When they finally arrive, the silence of the frozen desert is shattered. The air fills with voices, thousands of unique calls echoing across the ice. Each penguin has its own signature sound, an acoustic fingerprint that will later allow them to recognize their partner or their chick among the endless sea of black and white bodies. And now, the search for a mate begins. If you're fascinated by this hidden world, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next incredible story nature has to tell. Unlike many birds or mammals, emperor penguins do not fight bloody battles for territory. Instead, males court females through posture and song. A male stands tall, lifts his head high, and lets out a series of piercing calls that echo in the frozen air. Slowly he stretches his wings, moving them as though dancing to a rhythm only he can hear. A female, if captivated, will approach. They stand face to face, touching beaks, sometimes bowing gently to one another. This ritual is their bond, fragile yet profound. Emperor penguins are seasonally monogamous. A pair will remain together for the entire breeding season, raising their chicks side by side. The following year, however, they may choose new partners. Yet some pairs stay loyal for years, suggesting a bond that goes beyond mere instinct, something closer to emotion. Once mating is complete, the female lays a single egg, large, nearly 12 centimeters long, and weighing half a kilogram. But unlike other birds, they cannot build a nest. There are no twigs, no grass, only endless ice. So the egg is placed carefully on the father's feet and shielded beneath a fold of warm skin and feathers, called the brood pouch. From this moment, the burden shifts. The exhausted female must return to the seed to feed and regain her strength. The male, however, stays behind, cradling the precious egg. For weeks he will stand unmoving, battling blizzards, hurricane winds, and the crushing weight of hunger. If you want to keep following this story of sacrifice and survival, don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey. Far out on the frozen plains, the males stand motionless, cradling fragile new life upon their feet, incubating hope beneath the howling winds. From the moment the egg is laid, the male begins his long fast. He relies entirely on fat reserves built up during the summer months. For nearly 65 days, he will not eat a single bite. Every ounce of energy is spent on survival and on keeping that egg at a steady warmth. A male that once weighed 38 to 40 kilograms may waste away to barely 20 by the end of incubation. And yet, he endures, because to fail is to lose the next generation. The emperor penguin egg is delicate beyond measure. If it were to slip and touch the ice, just a few minutes would be enough for the embryo to freeze and die. That is why the male keeps it balanced carefully on his feet, tucked beneath a fold of skin and feathers, a living pouch that holds the egg at 35 degrees Celsius, while outside the Antarctic air plummets to 60. Their bodies stand tall, often leaning so that the icy wind lashes their backs instead of the precious egg. Eyes closed to conserve energy, but their ears stay sharp for danger. But they are not alone. Across the endless ice, thousands of males gather together, huddling side by side until they become a single mass of life in the middle of death. This living shield is called the huddle. Here lies their secret. Survival does not rest on the strength of one, but on the unity of many. In the huddle, those on the outside absorb the brunt of the storm, while those inside remain sheltered, and then, slowly, they may switch places. Those who suffered the cold rotate inward, those who were safe move outward. No one remains in the center forever. It is an unwritten pact of fairness, nature's own justice, ensuring all survive. This is one of the most extraordinary displays of cooperation in the animal kingdom. If you find this story as moving as I do, make sure you subscribe so we can keep unveiling more of nature's hidden wonders together. And then, after nearly 2 months of hunger and hardship, the females return from the sea. Their stomachs are filled with food stored carefully in their crops, a lifeline to be delivered to chicks that have not yet hatched. But first, the females must find their partners among a sea of nearly identical penguins. To human eyes, distinguishing one bird from another on that endless white plain seems impossible. Yet for emperor penguins, it is no challenge at all. They carry within them a unique acoustic identity, a personal song made of frequencies and rhythms that no other penguin shares. When a female returns from the hunt, she walks into the colony of thousands, calling out into the icy air. From somewhere in the crowd, a familiar call rises in answer, and without hesitation, the two move toward one another, guided as if by a biological GPS. Even chicks recognize their parents' voices. At the sound of their mother's call, a chick will stumble and run across the crowd, unafraid, weaving through thousands of others to find her. This bond of sound is their lifeline, their secret language in the frozen silence. Once reunited, the male, who has fasted for more than 2 months, finally passes the newborn chick to the mother before he himself departs for the ocean to restore his strength. This exchange is perilous. If the chick is exposed to the freezing air for even a minute too long, during the transfer from father's feet to mother's, its life could be lost. And yet, they do it with breathtaking precision, as if rehearsed 1,000 times before. If you're moved by this sacrifice, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. so more people can witness the courage of these incredible birds. The chick does not immediately eat fish or krill like its parents. Instead, the female produces a nutrient-rich fluid known as penguin milk, secreted from special glands in her crop. This milk is vital in the fragile first weeks, when the chick's body is far too weak to process solid food. And in a remarkable act of survival, if the female is delayed and the male has exhausted his reserves, even he can produce a small amount of this milk, a last emergency measure to keep the chick alive until the mother arrives. From their very first days of life, danger already looms. Giant petrels, fierce predators of the Antarctic skies, circle above the colonies, scanning for an opportunity, waiting for a chick to stray too far from the safety of its parents. For this reason, the chicks are always kept tightly under the brood pouch, only their small heads occasionally peeking out to glimpse the vast, frozen world around them. Once the male returns from the sea, raising the chick becomes a shared responsibility. They take turns. One hunts while the other stays behind. There are no gaps, no moments of neglect, only relentless care. Amid brutal winds and whiteout snowstorms, the emperor chick continues to grow. Its soft down feathers slowly give way to the thicker coat of adolescence. The first sign it is ready to step beyond the safety of its parents' feet. And when the time comes, the parents march back to the ocean, back to the source of life. The Antarctic waters hold fish, krill, and squid, but they are no banquet hall. They are a battlefield just as unforgiving as the ice above. From the colony to the sea, the journey can stretch tens or even hundreds of kilometers. The ice between is not smooth, but cracked, uneven, and dangerous. The penguins face it with determination, waddling step by step or sliding on their bellies, propelling themselves with wings and feet. They move together as one body. Safety in numbers is their shield and their strategy. If you're still with us, captivated by their endurance, remember to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of their incredible struggle. At last, reaching the edge of the sea, they dive headlong into the water with elegance that erases all the clumsiness of land. Beneath the waves, emperor penguins become living torpedoes, swift, agile, efficient. They can plunge 500 meters deep, holding their breath for 20 minutes. Their muscles are saturated with myoglobin, a protein that stores oxygen, letting them remain active even as their lungs run empty. Their heartbeat slows to as little as 15 beats per minute, conserving energy only for vital organs. Below the surface, light glows in pale, icy blue. Waterproof feathers keep their bodies warm and dry despite the freezing sea. In this realm, they are masters. Their vision is sharp both above and beneath the water. Their eyes are built to capture light in the deep darkness beneath the ice, allowing them to hunt where few others can. Their pupils adjust in an instant, shifting from the bright glare of the surface to the abyss below, a gift that not only guides them to prey, but also helps them evade their own predators. They can detect even the faintest movement of a lurking leopard seal from afar, deep in the water. The emperor penguin's menu changes with the seasons, but most often it consists of silverfish, rich in fat, Antarctic krill, the tiny shrimp that form the base of the Southern Ocean's food chain, and small squid caught in the depths. They hunt using a technique called pursuit diving, chasing prey with bursts of speed and agility until the target has no chance to hide. Although hunting at sea is usually a solitary act, emperor penguins often travel together to reduce the risk of predators. When they return to the colony, they often arrive in waves, creating synchronized moments of feeding, where many chicks receive food at once, before the adults head back to the ocean again. If you're fascinated by this survival dance, don't forget to subscribe. It helps bring more of these untold stories to life. For the chicks, the colony is more than just shelter. It's a school. Here they practice walking, leaping across ice, and chasing each other in playful games. But play is not mere amusement. It builds muscle, sharpens reflexes, and teaches the social skills they will one day need to survive on their own. The colony also teaches discipline. A chick that strays too far from the group quickly feels the bite of deadly cold, or risks being taken by predators like the skua. After days at sea, parents return to the colony with crops full of food, regurgitating the precious meal for their young. The journey back is no easier than the hunt. Blizzards can erase all paths, forcing them to rely on memory, instinct, and the unique voice of their mate and chick among thousands of identical penguins. These hunting missions repeat over and over until the chicks are finally large enough to begin learning independence. For emperor penguins, Antarctica is home, but it is also a battlefield filled with predators waiting for a single mistake. From the skies above, across the ice, and deep in the sea, danger comes from every direction. On land, their most persistent enemy is not a giant beast, but the skua bird. Small in size, yet armed with cunning and speed, it is a constant shadow. They never attack the adults. Instead, they target the eggs and the fragile chicks too young to defend themselves. Stay with us to see how penguins outsmart these aerial hunters. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next chapter of their fight for survival. In just a few seconds, a skua can snatch away a penguin chick that strays too far from its parent, carrying it off before anyone can help. That is why emperor penguin colonies always keep their young tightly packed within the group. Safety here comes from numbers. The tighter the circle, the smaller the chance of a skua's success. Once they enter the sea, the emperor penguins step into the realm of the leopard seal. Sleek, muscular, stretching up to 3.5 meters, with jaws powerful enough to crush bone. These predators are intelligent hunters. One of their favorite tactics is to hide beneath blocks of ice near the water's edge, waiting for a penguin to surface for air or to leap in. Then, with explosive speed, they strike, dragging their prey into the depths. To survive, penguins must remain vigilant, choosing their entry and exit points carefully, and swimming in groups to reduce the odds of being singled out. If you've stayed with the story so far, make sure you're subscribed. More incredible survival tales await. But the leopard seal is not the only enemy. A far greater predator lurks, the killer whale. Orcas hunt in groups, weaving complex strategies, even creating waves to knock penguins from floating ice, or blocking every escape route. Fortunately, penguins are not their main prey. Orcas prefer seals and large fish, yet when opportunity arises, even a distracted emperor penguin can quickly become part of their feast. And beyond living predators, there are deadlier threats still, the ice itself. When the sea freezes too quickly, or when cracks form across the frozen plains, parents can be cut off from their chicks, forced to swim dangerous distances through waters patrolled by hunters. Yet despite all this, emperor penguins endure. For millions of years, they have been a symbol of resilience. Proof that survival is not only about brute strength, but about loyalty, sacrifice, and unity. They reign over Antarctica not through violence, but through endurance, through wisdom written in instinct, carried across the ages. They remind us that life can persist, even in the most impossible places. That love, in the form of loyalty to a mate and protection of the young, can be stronger than hunger, stronger than cold, stronger even than exhaustion. And in our human world, we too face storms. They may not be blizzards, but crises, struggles, and burdens. Like the emperor penguins, we cannot stand alone. We need our colony, our family, our friends, our community, to keep us warm through the winter of life. So if you believe in stories of resilience, loyalty, and survival against the odds, don't just watch. Subscribe and join us on the next journey.